Welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast, where real conversations happen. I'm your host, Greg Wolfe. My wife and I run a life and health insurance brokerage firm where our mission is to help people with those needs. And the point in the message that we're trying to get across today is wherever stage that you're at in your entrepreneurial journey, whether you've been in it for a while or you're just getting started or you're thinking about getting started, we want to document our journey through it, and maybe it'll help you along the way. So today, I am super, super excited to introduce our guest on the podcast. She has a lot of titles, but it is Miss Indiana USA, Stephanie Sullivan. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are excited to kind of dive in on all things that you've been doing. So we're going to jump right in. So again, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, little background, little family. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in Indiana, lived here my whole life. I went to a really small school in Mooresville. It's like southwest of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And then throughout, childhood, I was kind of back and forth between Wisconsin and here. Ultimately ended up at Purdue University, where I met my husband. Boilermakers. And so he was actually a lot older than I am. So he graduated the year that we met.
Okay.
And then I had
What's the age difference?
It's about 4 years.
Okay. Me and my wife are 6.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I've always, I say that. I had one other boyfriend besides Jeffrey. But he was older.
Like older
he was
guys.
older.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So he was actually a 5th year senior.
Okay.
And then I went through college, and then I had a 5th year as well.
Nice. What did you study in college?
So I got my degree in law. My undergrad's in law and society. So it's pretty much a sociology and law dual degree. Yeah, and I thought that I was, going to go to law school, be an attorney, and quickly after I started working in law after graduation, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I was in family law. It's very sad.
Oh, it's depressing.
I didn't have kids of my own at that time, but I knew. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's just like a sad, every day that you go in, you're like,
the case is sad, your clients are sad, you're sad, like everybody's so sad. And so I didn't want to do it. And so around that same time, Jeffrey, my husband is Jeffrey, we were trying for our first kiddo. Okay. Became pregnant. Nice. And dabbled in some grant coordinating for a little bit. Okay. Wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I knew that the whole time that we were, dating, and then after marriage, that I wanted to be home with our kiddos when they were little. Yeah. And so I did that. Okay. I did that for a few years. We had a few more kids, and then
Talk about timeline. So where were we at years-wise? So this is 2000 what? So
first baby was born in 2017.
Okay. Nice.
And then we had another one in 2018. Okay. And then we had another one in 2021.
Nice. So yeah, 3 kids under 4?
Mm-hmm. Okay. It was a lot. So in that time, I had picked up an interest in makeup. I'd always loved aesthetics. And, being a stay-at-home mom, in my downtime, I would just watch these tutorials. And so I was a self-taught makeup artist. And around the time, this is like 2020-ish, I'm home. Now everyone's home, right? Yeah. Everyone's stuck at home.
Yeah, right.
And I kind of started feeling like, okay, I am happy that I was able to be home. I had one baby on the way, but I'm like, when he's born, I just don't think that I want to be home anymore. I want to be back out working. And so it was a matter of go to law school and try to pursue a career and being a prosecutor, or go to beauty school. Got it. And so I wanted the flexibility. So did the beauty school route. Okay. Had baby number 3 in 2021.
What are their names?
Grayson, Gavin, and Glenn.
Ooh, I like it. So all G's.
Longest name, oldest kid. Okay. And then it goes down.
There you go.
Grayson, nice. Gavin, Glenn. My husband is Jeffrey with a G. So it was so unintentional, but it kind of worked. So yeah, nice. All G's. And so, so he was born in 2021. And shortly after he was born, I went back to work. I was actually working for another esthetician. So in that time frame, went to school, became licensed in aesthetics, thought that I was only going to do makeup. Like, that was my focus.
Did you do like a lot of like wedding makeup? Okay.
That's primarily what I was in before. Okay. Some prom, but heavy on the weddings. Sure. And so when I went to beauty school, my vision was that I was going to open my own makeup studio. And that was it. Yeah. And then
that's super cool.
It is cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then while I was there, I discovered that I actually had a love for skincare and all the facials and massage. And I thought, on a wider scale, like that makes sense for makeup clients, and brides especially, like mix everything together. And so, worked for this other esthetician for a little while, and then went to the bank and pitched them my business plan.
Entrepreneur.
I thought, I want to bring income in, for my family, but I still want to have this flexibility to be a mom, go to, all the school events that I want to be at, not feel guilty for having to, request off or being told I can't.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So, people, it's tough out there. I think about it all the time now because I did that for a long time. I was worked for somebody for years. I mean, up until 18 months ago, that's all I did. I worked for somebody else. So like once you become and take on like the scariness that entrepreneurship is, it does bring that like flexibility and freedom. Let me ask you this question. What got you, like, what do you think like led you to like be brave enough or bold enough to like be like take that step? Like what do you think it was? Like have you always like thought like, hey, I think I could do something like that? Like you had the confidence, or what was it?
No, I actually grew up very poor. I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad is a painter. Okay. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and then she did, waitressing and worked at Meijer. And so no one ever had a business background. But as I, met my husband in school and saw that his families have owned a million businesses, and that's pretty much all everyone in Elkhart does is, business owners. I kind of, thought about that, but I never felt confident enough in what I was doing in the beginning, like as a makeup artist, like, oh gosh, I can't do this. But it was actually my husband. My husband is my number one fan. It sounds so corny and cheesy, but he was the one that said, you can do this. Like, you can do this. And he's like, and the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out. Yeah. Like, that's incredible. I think the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work out. That's so cool. Because here's what I could say. Having the support of your significant other, your spouse, is like everything. It is. So that's actually why I did this, was my spouse. Same thing. She pushed me to be like, hey, like, you can. And like literally did it and proved it to me. For me to like be like, all right, okay, fine. So like, having that support. Push. Yeah, because you can do anything that you set your mind to, as long as you like don't quit. Exactly. You just have to do it. And it's hard. Like, I mean, we could spend all day talking about business and the beginning and all the things. Like, it is hard, but I do think, my husband being so encouraging and supportive of what I was doing, and also having, I have a really strong faith in God. Yeah. And I think that when you pray about things and you listen, like, God will answer you, and he'll show up in ways that propel your business, or like even just keeping you afloat. Financially, when you have like your business loan and all the things to pay 100%. And you're like, oh God, like this is not going to work out. This is not the right plan for me. And then everything ends up being okay. I think that having that kind of faith. Oh, that's so good. That blind faith where you're like, okay, God, like if this is the plan, like you're going to make it work. Yeah. And again, with my husband, he's the one always telling me, like, if I were to stress or talk about how like, I don't think I'm going to make rent this month or something, because, I have a 2,000 square foot studio. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility. Just me. Ooh, yeah. And I mean, we could dive into it another time, but in the beginning, nothing went the way it was supposed to. I had a lot of medical issues. I had surgeries. I had time away. And again, it was just me covering the bills for that studio. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm dipping through now my loan. Sure. And so, you watch that go down. Pressure, right? And you're like, okay, eventually I'm going to get to a point where I can't pay anything from that loan, and I have to actually make the money to fund everything. And so, again, with my husband, he's like, you're physically sick about this. And he said, you have been taken care of. Our family's been taken care of. And you will be taken care of. So he's like, have faith, just keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about the things you can't control, and just keep pushing. And I did. And honest to God, like that first year was really rough. Employee turnover, all the things. And they don't tell you about all those things when you first start. And when you say like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I listen to a lot of business coaches and like a lot of that stuff. I consume a lot of it. And one of my favorite guys, I'm gonna give him a shout out, is Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you've ever listened to his stuff, check him out. It's really, really good. But he talks about there's like 5 stages that people go through when you are becoming an entrepreneur. First, it's like,
unbelievable like optimism, like you're like extremely like this is going to be the best thing ever, like it's amazing, and you go through it and you're like, oh, this is incredible, like I'm going to make so much money, it's going to be amazing, I'm going to have all this time freedom and all this stuff. And then you go over the hump that he calls it, and then you're like informed, like pessimism. Now you're like, oh crap, like this is a lot harder than they talked about. Like it's not what they said. Like it's the employee turnover. It's like all the bills are stacking up. And then he says you go through a phase that's called the valley of despair. And he's like, here's where most people fail.
So true.
Isn't this so true, right? Like this is awesome.
Yes.
So he like, it's like an arch, right? So this is going to be incredible. Holy cow, this is a lot harder than I thought. Now you're in the valley of despair. This is where most people fail. Like they never get themselves out of this point right here. And so what happens is they're like, okay, cool. There's this new opportunity over here. It's going to be amazing. Holy cow, it's a lot harder. Valley of despair. And they just keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. But the true ticket is when you're in that valley of despair is getting through that into the stage where it's like, hey, now I'm informed and I'm optimistic too. Now I know what it takes to get through it because I never want to go backwards again. So I'm through the valley of despair. It's going to be a lot harder. I'm informed, but I'm optimistic. And then boom, now you hit the target.
Yes.
So it's like the 5 stages of what entrepreneurs go through. It's incredible. And I've like understood and like lived through that. And I try to like anybody that I bring on within our business is like I make sure that they watch that like clip because it's like, hey, you need to like understand this is like what you're going to go through. You're feeling amazing right now, but when you go through it, like it's going to get harder, then it's going to get really hard and you're going to want to quit. But that's where people fail. Like they don't understand like it's the little small, like you're right there. Keep going, keep pushing, and that's what it takes to be like to make it through anything. But yeah.
I have a great example of that actually.
Tell me about it.
So I'm Miss Indiana USA. And so when I was getting ready to compete, I told my husband, I said, I just really feel like God's telling me that I allowed you to, have this business and have success, but this isn't for you because I had to let go of 2 employees. And it was like one of those decisions where I knew that it had to be done, but when I did it, I'm like, I'm going to put myself in a terrible position, but I'm going to be in a worse position if I keep them type thing. And so they were done. And I told my husband, I think that I'm done with this. Okay. And he said, I think you should wait until after you compete, see what happens. But I think that what you're going to find is everything's going to just work out. Yeah. And I was like, whatever. I was like, he's so optimistic. He's like my positive man. So I was actually at breakfast, got a random phone call, which I normally don't answer phone calls that I don't have saved or numbers that I don't have saved. And when I answered it, it was a woman who was inquiring about my available rooms that I had. And when I asked her what size she was looking for, she goes, well, I heard you had a couple. She wanted 3 of my rooms.
That's incredible.
She wanted all 3. That's a God thing,
yeah.
It was such a God thing. And I was sobbing, and she probably thought I was crazy. But I was sobbing, and because I was praying to God, I'm like, I need a clear sign that I'm supposed to do this. Because right now, like, I'm out. I have no more faith in this. Like, it's hard. All these, like, feel sorry for yourself things. And so I'm like, God, if I'm supposed to continue with this business, I need, like, a clear sign that I can't miss. Yeah. Sometimes you miss the signs. Of course. So I was like, I need a clear sign. And then, her name is also Stephanie. So she called me, and now she has 3 rooms, and everything is going really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of times, we ask, whether it's God for like wisdom or patience and we don't understand, like if we ask for those things, guess what? You're probably going to be tested. Oh yeah. Like if you ask for patience, guess what? You're going to have to go through it. Yes. If you want like the success, guess what? You're going to have to go through the grind. A lot of people want to skip the steps that it takes to get to the mountaintop. And I think that you can't overlook, there's no cheat code. No. You have to go through it. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about obviously Miss Indiana USA. It's a big thing. That's why you're here. So it is a big thing. I'm super glad we connected through social media. Saw that you were local to our area. Our office is here in South Bend, the Michiana area. And I think I actually saw it just through on the news that it was like, hey, Miss Indiana USA is like right here in our local community. I'm like, oh, that's super cool. Like, and I think they highlighted, and I'll let you kind of dive in on this too, because I want to, like, this is like dork in a sense, because you are a mom, and before this, like, that wasn't a thing. So yeah, let's talk about like that journey and then like all that stuff.
Yeah, so I guess to start off my pageant career, I will say I'm not a career pageant girl. I have only ever been in one other pageant before Miss Indiana USA.
Okay.
And that was my first time competing in the Miss USA system.
Wow.
So if you aren't familiar with pageants, there are hundreds of systems. They all have different benefits. The Miss USA organization is underneath the Miss Universe organization.
Okay.
And typically, whoever wins Miss USA lives in New York, and it's a job. Like, you move away, and that's your job for the year. So they had some new ownership. They changed some rules. And previously you had to be, I believe it was 26 or younger to compete forever.
Yeah.
For the entirety of this pageant.
How long has it been going on for?
So I believe it started in 1952.
Okay.
So for
Bit of time.
the entire time that it's been around.
26 or under.
26 and under.
Okay.
And so I didn't start my pageant career until I was 29. I competed in Mrs. Indiana, which is in the Mrs. America, Mrs. World system. So it'll get confusing. So I competed in that, and I liked it, but I was heavily involved with my makeup career. So now I work for those pageants. I go out to Mrs. America. I do all that, and I enjoyed that aspect. And I thought, you know what, like, pageantry was fun. Like, I enjoyed that, but I really enjoy what I'm doing with makeup in that pageant world.
Sure.
So I put it on hold.
So you got to see like the behind the scenes of everything.
Yes. So, and I learned a lot because my best friend is a pageant coach. Like, that's what she does for a living.
Got it.
She was Mrs. America. She
Okay.
won Mrs. Indiana.
What's her name?
Michaela.
Nice.
Uppers. And then she actually was a Miss Indiana USA as well.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
It's very cool. So, just being with her, seeing her clients who are my makeup clients, I just learned a lot because it is very much a sport.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of strategy to it. So, when Miss USA announced, hey guys, like, we're getting rid of the age. There's no age cap on it anymore. You can be married. You can have children, which you never could before.
Wow.
They just came out and said, everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
Any woman who wants
And
to
that
compete.
just happened, right?
Just happened.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. So I thought, you know what? I have a great story. I have a great message. A lot of women use this organization to help outside of the organization as well. So like with your business, or some want to be in entertainment or models or what have you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, just sharing your message with the world.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, well, why not?
Let's try it.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
And I have already started to get into like motivational speaking, and I thought this would be the perfect segue into that because why not?
Yeah, I love it.
And so I went for it. I ended up winning. I won.
How long is the training? Like, how long did you like say, hey, like I'm in here?
My training was about 7 or 8 months.
Okay.
But there are women who, my first runner-up, for instance, she's competed a few times, and she was actually the first runner-up last year as well.
Okay.
And so there are women in the system who have competed, I think it's 18, 19, don't quote me, that when you start to compete in the Miss division.
Sure.
And so there are women who compete every year.
Sure.
In hopes of being Miss Universe. Like, that's their ultimate goal in life.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, you know what? It would be great to be Miss Universe, but we're going to start in Indiana.
Yeah, right.
Deal with what you can at the time. So, there was so much prep that went into it. For me, being a mom, being 33 years old.
Yeah, there's a lot to like balance with that, right?
There's a lot, and it's not like, no offense to any of the younger contestants, but at 21, 22 years old, you may have a job.
Sure.
And maybe you're married, maybe you have kids, but most 21, 22-year-olds, they don't really have anything that they're responsible for besides themselves.
Yeah, no doubt.
Going to work, coming home.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I have to talk to my husband about it, make sure he's on board, because it's very much me
Yeah.
during that time. And so my husband was gracious enough to take on every single role at home. He did pretty much all of the sporting events, school events.
That's incredible.
House chores, everything. And then I would show up when I could, right? Like I'd be at dinner and I'd be at events. But he took on all of that so that I could focus on myself.
Yeah, Jeffrey sounds like I'm excited to meet him at some point.
He's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So fast forward, so you go through the training. Talk to us about like, now you're at the competition level. Competition, is it a week? Is it a month? Like, how does it?
For the actual competition to take place?
Yeah.
It's over a weekend.
Okay.
So I think I got there on like a Thursday, and then crowning was on Saturday night.
Out to?
Indiana.
Nice.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So it was, I think we had 30 delegates in the Miss division, and then they had a teen division as well. Okay. And it was a tough competition because I believe I was the oldest.
What was the hardest part of it?
About being there?
No, like, during the competition.
Honestly,
for you.
I don't want this to come across wrong, but when I decided to compete and I would pray about it, I felt like I was supposed to win. I never felt like, God, like, I hope I can win. Please let me win. It was literally, I had this feeling that I can't really explain, that
you're gonna make it happen.
Inner spirit, Jesus, whoever, something was telling me like, I'm supposed to be Miss Indiana USA. And I don't know if it's because of the historic, year or anything like that, but I just always felt like I was supposed to. So in my house, we always talked about Miss Indiana USA as if I were already winning. Okay. So I blocked out Miss USA in my calendar. I closed my work schedule to go to Miss USA and Miss Universe in hopes that I would win, Miss USA. So at our house, it was never like, hey, if you win, like, you're going to be at this event on this weekend. It was, hey, Mom's going to be here, and so I think having that mindset helped me a lot. So when I was there, I didn't feel nervous. There was nothing that I felt.
It's your first one, though, and you're not nervous.
My first time in the Miss USA system, and I was not nervous one bit. I was excited. I was one backstage, like, when the music's playing, like, I'm like dancing it out, and everyone's like, it's like so scared. But no, the hardest part for me, honestly, through the whole weekend was feeling like I wanted so badly to connect with the girls, and I thought that because of my age that maybe I wouldn't. And so once I got there and I met everyone, I realized, quickly that they were all really cool. Sweet and excited. And so that wasn't, it wasn't on my mind anymore, but I didn't really think anything was hard.
What are the different, like, things you have to do there? So you've got different, like, things for the competition.
Yeah. So before anything, you go and you have an interview. Okay. It's a one-on-one interview. They do it different ways, but ours happened to be a panel style. So we'd go in and all the judges were sitting there. You had a 3-minute interview, and that counts for half of your entire score.
Wow.
So it's a very big deal.
They drill you on questions?
Oh, they do. And a lot of people think that, pageant girls are just like a pretty face and a nice dress. Right. But really, you have to be able to speak to people, connect with others, and they want to know more than just surface level. So they did give us questions that we had to submit ahead of time, like your bio, if you will. Sure. And they can ask you things that are right on the bio. Okay. But a lot of the time, they want to, trip you up, and they want to say, like, so tell me why you're doing this, or, a question that might make you stumble. But our judges weren't that way. They were so nice. Great. So kind. I think I was able to get 6 questions in, which is huge in 3 minutes.
They got to really know you.
It was really good.
Yeah,
and I felt like when I came out of interview that I did a good job, and I was happy about it.
I bet that's what most people stress about, though.
Oh, they do.
'Cause it's half your score.
It is half the score, and public speaking is different than panel speaking to me. Like, if I go into a room, it's a business meeting to me, right? Okay. Like, I do that at work. Yeah. I can do that there. That was fine. But a lot of girls, especially the younger women, they don't have that life experience yet. And so going into a room with 5-6 strangers is terrifying. Yeah. And you
lose your train of thought. You can get sidetracked. Yeah, for sure.
I had a really good interview coach. Like, I worked with Michaela as well, but then I also had another interview coach, and he would always say to me, they're just asking you about you. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know yourself, then you're not going to do well. Right. But you know yourself.
So just be honest.
And just be honest. Yeah. They love, like, that transparency.
I love that.
So the interview was my favorite part. I was most excited about interview.
That's super cool.
And then the other areas of competition are swimsuit or fitness. Depends on how you want to say it.
Yeah.
Fitness, and then we do an evening gown.
Okay.
And then on-stage question.
Where'd you get your evening gown from?
I got it from Ashley Renee's. She's actually a Miss Indiana USA local sponsor.
That's amazing.
She's great. Have you ever met her?
Yeah, they were neighbors to us.
The
We love them.
Swathwood?
Yeah.
Oh, they're so nice.
They're awesome.
Do you know?
Josh and his wife are awesome.
They're great. Their whole family's
Yeah.
nice. Well, I should do
They
a
have
little
kids
plug.
the same
Yes.
ages. So yeah.
And they're sweet too.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I have to plug her because
Yeah, of course.
she's just a wonderful human anyway, just outside of
Absolutely.
business. But a sponsor for Miss Indiana USA who gives you your gown and cocktail dresses
That's
to
amazing.
take, like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
That
Well,
she's
that's why
so
she's done so
generous.
well too. Like
Yeah.
because of who she is and who they are. They're just good people. So yeah, you're looking for that
Yeah, if you
prom
need a
dress or
prom, pageant.
anything. Go
anything. I've had like mothers go in there, like mother of the bride, mother of the groom.
100%.
Anyone. Yeah. Hit up
super
Ashley
cool.
Renee's.
Love it, love it, love it. So, you compete, you go through, it's like the final is like a day, a whole couple day process.
Yeah, the weekend is kind of a blur because you pack so much into it.
Sure.
But I believe
Are they eliminating people like each day?
no. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
that would be so terrifying.
Like
No.
Survivor, like you didn't make it.
Oh gosh, no. So they had, I can't remember if they did them on the same day or not, but I think what happened was we had orientation and interviews on the same day.
Okay.
And then the next day we did, I'm probably getting it wrong, but throughout the weekend, you're going to have your interviews, orientation, you go into a ton of rehearsals, and then our prelim competition and our finals competition happen to be on the same day.
Right then.
So
Okay.
go into prelims, and then that's where they make their top 10 or
They're
top.
making the cuts.
I think it was a top 16 for
Okay.
us because we had a tie. Or we had a tie for the top 6. It's a blur, honestly. I'm the worst. I'm the worst pageant girl. But like I said, it was only my first time competing in USA, so I didn't really know that much about those logistics.
Sure.
But once you get out there and they call the top whatever,
Yeah.
that's gut wrenching because you're like, okay, well, if I don't make it, then
Right.
your friends and your family who maybe only came to finals.
Was everybody there?
All my family was there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we only brought my oldest son, but
Okay.
like my whole family was there. My dad, my mom, in-laws, friends.
Love it.
It was really nice.
Had a big section. Did they have the posters and everything?
Yes, there were so many things, right? Because I told you that I felt in my soul that I was supposed to win,
Mm-hmm.
and so many things happened that you could call a coincidence. But for me, it was like I heard this term, a Christence.
Ooh.
Something about Christ, like a Christensen or
I like it.
Christensen's, something like that, where it's like, no, that was God. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't by chance, like that was God. And so all the way back to my teen. So I have a teen. Aaliyah is my Miss Indiana Teen USA.
Okay.
So I met her before competition weekend.
Okay.
She and I connected on social media. We had the same seamstress who's local to here, Miss Lene. She does all the gowns around the world.
Okay.
Country, war. She's amazing. So anyway, Aaliyah and I connected through her. And we just kind of said, wouldn't that be cool if we like won together?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be so sweet. So we get there. She's the first person that I see
Okay.
when I arrive.
Amazing.
We both wore white to registration.
go.
She kind of looks like me. We look like each other. We have brownish hair. So that was all crazy. Then they have these banners that you could buy, like a full body banner, and it's just to promote you. And they set them up in the lobby when everyone walks in
Super
for
cool.
the show.
Yeah.
And her banner was right next to mine.
Very cool.
There was a whole thing about tens. Because Michaela, my best friend, I told you she was a former Miss Indiana USA.
Sure.
So she was Miss Indiana USA exactly 10 years ago.
Okay.
Tradition has it where Miss Indiana USA 10 years ago comes and sashes the winners.
Okay.
So 10 years from now, I will go to Miss Indiana USA and I will put that sash on the winner.
Okay. Very cool.
So when I was thinking about competing or not, I'm like, I'm just going to wait. I'll see how the moms and wives do this year, and then next year I'll
Yeah.
compete. And she and my husband were like, this year
this
it'll
year.
be special.
Yeah.
So anyway, she got to sash me.
That's so cool.
But yeah, so like that was the whole thing of tens, right? So it's the 73rd year of Miss Indiana USA.
Okay.
7 and 3 is 10.
Nice.
I was the 10th name called into finals.
There we go.
10. I was actually contestant number 10 when I competed at Mrs. Indiana as well. So all these 10s, like it was just weird, right?
Now it's your number.
So all of that was happening and made everything kind of crazy. And believe it or not, like this is hand on the Bible, this is true. They crowned the teen first, okay?
Okay.
When Aaliyah was one of the last two left, I knew and I said to myself, if Aaliyah does not win, then I didn't win.
Okay.
Because I felt so strongly that she and I were supposed to be the teen and the Miss together. And so when she won,
you were like, I got it in the bag.
I started getting teary-eyed. I'm like, okay, God, like here we go.
That's awesome.
It was so beautiful. But,
very cool. So you win, and then what was next after that?
After that, it was a crazy night of photos. I mean, I don't know how long we stood there for, but we stood there long enough for my feet, like my toes. You know, you're in your heels. I don't know if you guys can see that. Where your toes are like this, right? And your 6-inch heels, and you have a band.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know.
Completely honest with you.
Well, your wife will know. So the band like goes across here.
Okay.
My toes, all of my toes, were numb.
Oh my word.
Where that band is.
Sure.
For like a whole month and a half after the pageant. From standing there.
I bet get the smile, like your face has to hurt.
Yes. So even during the competition, actually, my mouth was so dry.
Yeah.
My trainer, Craig Hughes is my trainer. He told me to get these, not cough drops, but throat lozenges.
Okay.
And I didn't get them.
Oops.
It was like one of the 50 things that I forgot. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. No, like your mouth gets so dry from smiling and you're breathing really heavy. So you're just bringing all the air into your dry mouth. So I don't know whose it was, but I found a water bottle just chilling backstage. Like it looked like it had been abandoned.
Okay.
So I grabbed it from the hallway I put it on the side of the stage. And I would go back and take swigs because I couldn't, like my mouth couldn't function.
Yeah.
It was so dry.
That's crazy.
But yeah, your face hurts, your teeth hurt, everything hurts.
You take all the pictures, you're there.
It was hours, I feel like. Then, Michaela, thank God for her because she'd done that before.
Yeah.
Like she knew exactly what to do, and she does it for a living, so she knew exactly
what to expect,
what we need to do next.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was famous overnight or something because I had hundreds of messages come through on my phone. I had like 800 text messages.
Dang.
Yeah, like 800 text messages. I had thousands of messages. Like it was insane between my phone, all my Instagram accounts, Facebook. I had thousands of messages that I had to go through.
It's a huge outpouring of support.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It was
That's cool.
crazy.
You don't even realize how many people are looking at you and then looking up to you and then that responsibility is big though too, which is cool.
And what felt the most humbling, I guess, was I didn't even know half of the people who were aware that I was competing. And I had messages that I obviously didn't see them because I was competing, but I had messages even before the pageant from people who were like, praying for me or saying hey, we've been watching your journey because, I documented a lot on social media before the pageant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I had no idea that you cared enough to even, put me in your prayers.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think that's super cool. So you win, they sash you and crown you, which we've got the sash and crown.
Yes.
And then they give you this trophy.
I actually got it a couple days later.
Okay. So this was going to be...
But I was awarded that.
standing here, but instead, we can kind of stand it up. So what happened to this trophy, though?
Oh, I'm probably turning really red. So I was walking in today, and I had my hands full and...
Like a mom does.
Like a mom does. And honestly, I wasn't even going to bring it. I had my crown and my sash and these little, trophies, but... Oops. And I was like, that's too bulky. They won't care. But then I thought, it's at the table. We should totally have that. And I didn't have a good grip, and I was walking outside, and I had all my hands like this, and it just slipped right out.
Whoop.
I felt it slip, and then I heard it because it's heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... How many pounds would you say that is? A couple, right?
Oh, yeah. Like this is
like a gallon of milk at least.
Oh yeah, at least.
And so I
5-6
just heard it
pounds,
just. And you know what I thought was actually really sad? I know, be careful. Don't cut yourself. What I thought was really sad is I screamed out. I was like, no! And there was a gentleman who was right next to his car.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here, his car is here. He literally gets in his car, watches the whole thing, doesn't say anything, just literally.
Oh,
He
looks like
actually
she dropped something.
To be fair, he was probably like, what is all that? But yeah, so
Hey lady, you dropped
drove
something.
that. So I did. I got that a few days after I was crowned. These two I got on the night that I won. They have I don't know if you can read it, but this one is Miss Photogenic.
Okay.
So that means that a selection committee voted my headshot as the most photogenic.
Okay.
And then this one is the delegate's choice, which is very, very special because you get to vote. So they give us a piece of paper and you say, okay, you can't vote for yourself. And if there was one person that you felt deserved to win, who would it be? And I was voted the delegate's choice. So
can you tell us who you voted for?
I voted.
You're not allowed to.
I can tell you. I voted for, her name is Megan. She's also another mama. I don't know her last name. She
Love
had a
it.
red dress.
Yeah.
She was just a doll.
Yeah.
And I voted for her.
Nice.
I loved her so much.
That's so cool. It's cool that you get to like network and meet everybody too. That's
yeah.
like they've been like kind of going through the same thing that you've been going through, and you can kind of like relate and be like, we're here now. Okay.
Yes. And honestly, since I was crowned, I've had a lot of women contact me on social media like, hey, I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I want to compete. I'm older. Give me your advice, tips, tricks. And that's special because my whole platform started because of, we touched on it off camera, but started in 2019 and I didn't even know it. So my own, struggles, medical issues, really was the moment that my whole platform even launched. It's called Why You're Worth It. And essentially it's teaching others to invest in themselves and teaching others that it's okay to invest in yourself and put yourself first.
So important.
Especially as a mom and a wife. But when you're wearing all these hats, the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. You also can't pour from a half-filled cup.
No.
And so 2019, when I had to take a step back for all my medical issues, my husband stepped up tremendously in ways that I never would have imagined that he one day would.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much where it was born. And so when I got into pageantry and I was like, what is my message? Like, what do I want people to know about me, or how can I help others? It just happened so organically because I was already doing that.
Yeah.
And
That's where the best messages come from, when they're raw, when they're real, when you're transparent, and like
Yes.
this is what it is.
And I am so open. I'm such an open book about my health, my marriage, my business. And I tell people, like, look, it's not always going to be easy. It's always going to be worth it, but it's never going to be easy.
Yeah.
And when you have goals and you have something that you're looking ahead to, if you can take care of yourself, prioritize whatever that is.
So important.
Going for a walk, working out, if you like getting your nails done, like whatever that is for you, and men too, whatever that is, you have to make sure that you are always doing that, because if you're not mentally, spiritually, physically healthy and well, you can't do anything.
Yeah. It's so important. It's it's so cliche, but you hear the message on the airlines, if you've ever flown, put your mask on first.
Yes.
And then you can help others. But like people overlook like the importance of like what you won't be able to help others if you aren't in a place, if you can't help yourself.
No.
And you will constantly, you actually do people a disservice, and it doesn't come across authentic when you are constantly being, pulled and not having, the capability to really like help in that way. So giving yourself that awareness that, hey, I need to make sure that I'm doing things for myself is so, so crucial. I think people sleep on mental health.
Oh.
Like we could
do a whole podcast. We should.
For sure. But we were actually just talking about that. We had a recent big, huge leadership summit, and our specific industry that we're in, it is a lot. It's like an emotional kind of roller coaster that people like go through. and understanding like there are measures that you need to make sure that you're taking, because you're going to experience the burnout that, you know, comes with owning a business. You're going to experience like the emotional side and the tolls that it takes, and the, you know, being away, and the, you know, feeling like you're guilty of, you know, not being present, and, you know, because you're doing this or doing like those things. Like you need to take time to understand how to cope with those, but also like how to deal with them too. Like there's a whole thing with that is really, really super important. So I love that that's like your message, like, hey, you need to make sure like you are taking care of you. And like that's so important.
I think when back in 2019, when all of my medical things first started, I didn't realize, and most people don't realize, that, you know, if you have anxiety or you have depression, those are usually just symptoms of something else. And so I actually didn't know until right before Miss Indiana USA, I was officially diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
Like officially. And all of my anxiety and depression stemmed from my inability to focus. You know, ADHD, like I never thought that I had that because I'm not bouncing off the walls. I'm not, you know, I'm pretty calm, but the hyperactivity is in my brain. So I can't turn it off. It's hard for me to concentrate. Like if you're speaking and there's music over there, my brain in my head, I'm literally like
is there
doing
music
this.
over there?
No, there's not. There is not. But it's like that. And so it's just like a constant. But because I couldn't focus, I would get anxious or I would lash out. And so I think that understanding yourself, like I think to some degree or another, everyone has something mentally, right? Like we're all not 100% mentally well, but understanding yourself and really diving into, okay, I am this way. Why am I this way? What is causing me to be this way? Because once you can figure out yourself inside and out, which pageantry's helped me do, once you can figure that out, then you can understand yourself better and you can understand how you connect and relate to others. So your family, your kids, your employees, you know, everyone.
I think it allows you to also be able to, through your experience, help other people, right? A lot of times we learn from other people's experience, at least maybe even if it's something you hear or like, hey, I can identify with that. And then that's where the first step a lot of times happens. So I think that that's super cool too, that you can but you have to recognize it first. Like that's the first part, is like taking and understanding, like that's important. So tell me more about like what your goal is with your mission, with your platform. Like what's the goal for Stephanie Sullivan?
Yes. So I will hold this title until April.
Okay.
So in the Miss USA system, I can only wear my crown and sash while I am the title holder unless I have special permission. So I'm going to make the most out of it. I have so many speaking engagements, fundraising events that I'm emceeing and or speaking at, sharing my story.
Love it.
I don't have a website that's, you know, specific to me, but I do have an Instagram account. If you just follow the Miss Indiana USA on Instagram, just Miss IN USA, you can find what I'm up to. But I'm going to be doing a lot of that because I really feel like the more people I can impact with my crown and sash, the better. Because, you know,
you only have it till April.
Yeah, let's just be real. Like, you're probably going to pay attention to what I'm saying more if you're like, oh, what's that crown? What is she saying?
Absolutely.
So I want to use it for good. And so I have a lot of that lined up. The rest of my year is going to be like partnerships with my sponsors. And then just like all the fun things too, like the modeling and all the other podcasts. Like
that's so cool.
Just giving back. I wanted to be the most accessible Miss Indiana USA. And so I really try to like go out of my way, and if I'm in a crowd and I hear somebody, I'm like, yeah, like of course I'll take a picture with you, and just really try to make others feel loved and welcome, because I think the world just needs a lot more of that.
Yeah.
A lot
People
more
need
grace.
Authentic.
And
There's so much. That's the whole message of what this like represented when we said, hey, we want to produce podcasts and content that it's around authentic, real conversations. So the idea of kitchen table, I'll probably say this in every single podcast, is like, hey, where do you have like where you can get at your most vulnerable self at the kitchen table where real conversations happen. So that's like my main message too, is like, hey, let's be real, let's be authentic, because more people can like, you know, get down with that versus like there's so much fake and fraud in the world that you have to like sift through, that I wanted this to be a place where you can tell your story, share your message, and really use it for good. So I love it.
I love it.
So we connected. I want to briefly talk about this. I think that our messages align, and I think that's why we connected and it's been good so far. So far, like, I mean, the jury's still out now. Knock on wood. Right? The whole table's what's up. No, it's been excellent. So I think that our main mission too is that it's twofold, right? Is to make sure that we bring awareness to making sure that everybody understands that financial like planning is so crucial. And when you don't plan and you don't think about things, like that's where like it could be detrimental to the outcome. And so like bringing awareness to making sure that you are financially sound, that your family is taken care of and protected. Like that's what we get to do every single day here at Imagine Financial. And we love it because like it helps. We're passionate about it. It's beyond just hey, I come in and I do a job and a task and then I leave. Like we literally get to have people like thank us afterwards. Like, hey, now I feel like I can have peace of mind that if anything were to happen to me, my loved ones are taken care of. And they're not gonna have to bear any financial burdens when I pass, or if something happens to me and I get a sickness or something like that. So like, I think that a lot in the same, we have similar values in that way. So I love that we get to kind of collaborate together in what you're doing with what we're doing. And I think it's going to be a good thing even moving forward. And we want to help through the end of, at least while you're doing this and even beyond this.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I saw somewhere, I don't know if it was here or online, you have this saying, people over profit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think huge. That if every business went into business that way, I think that they would have much more success.
People over profit is more than just a slogan. Like we literally take it at its core where we put our clients above anything. And our main mission is to make sure that they are put in a position that is best for them. And that's what it's about. And on the flip side, then in addition to that, the people that we bring into our organization, we care about them over anything. Yeah. And like when you have like people at the core of, and like you really truly mean it, it's not just like some tagline. Like that's what it really comes down to. People know like if it's genuine, and you can sense it when it's not. And people over profit is like at its core who we are, and what we believe in, for sure. So
I love that. You guys are great.
So I got a couple like random questions. Like this is always like at the end of the podcast. So
fire away.
These are cool. These are fun. No pressure.
This is just like training for Miss USA. When you have like it's a mock interview.
Yeah.
And they rapid fire questions.
So it won't be rapid fire, but like so if we had to, if we were at your house and we logged in to your Netflix, what would be the most recently watched on Netflix? What are you watching right now?
Oh gosh, I've been trying to watch Beetlejuice.
Okay.
And actually, it's not even on Netflix. It's on Prime, maybe?
Someday, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you a Netflix person? Or,
I
or do you have them all?
I do them all.
Okay.
I do them all. I was trying to think. There was one show. I can't remember the name of it. It was so good. It was a mini series. Oh my gosh.
Are you a reality TV?
Absolutely not. No, my anxiety's too high for that.
You don't get time for that?
My childhood was a little sad.
Okay.
At times, lots of yelling, and the ADD brain of mine, when people are like at it,
overstimulation.
It's overstimulating to me, and it causes me anxiety, and I feel like I'm very much an empath.
Okay.
And so
you're not into
I get invested. Like I'm sad.
Yeah.
For these situations.
Like it's not working out, and it's like sad. Okay, got it.
But I don't know if you would know. So on Netflix, there's a new mini series, and Nicole Kidman's in it, and it was like mystery. There was a murder. It was so good, and I don't remember what it was called.
Well, there you go. Well, you've named somebody in it, so if you're looking for it, there you go. Next one.
Yes.
If you had a superpower, what would it be? If you could choose any superpower out there, what would it be?
To read minds.
Ooh, mind reader?
Mind reading.
That is good.
Yes, because I feel like you would never fail, right? Like
yeah. Mine is time traveler.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
Because, like,
That would be good.
I could live in, like, every single time period, like, all of them.
And then you would
Then you know
get to
everything.
be with
which is,
people who've moved on. And,
yeah. Like, yeah.
Have you seen that movie, The Time Traveler's Wife?
I probably need to watch it.
It's a very sad. I don't recommend if you don't want to cry, but it
I'm
gets
not a
you
crier in
thinking.
movies.
Oh, you're not?
No, I am. Actually, I'm a softie.
Oh gosh, I'm such a softie. But it's a good movie. It has oh my gosh, Rachel McAdams.
Okay. Yeah,
And
great
it's an older movie,
actress.
but it's
I have to check it out.
yeah, her husband is a time traveler.
I think I actually have seen that. And he gets sick. Is that what it is?
Maybe.
We're gonna drop the.
Gonna spoil.
Yeah, don't. All right, we won't. All right, last and final question. If you had to choose like a podcast that you would want to be on, like somebody famous, who would be the podcast? Like, hey, I would love to be on that podcast.
I don't know how much use I would be to them, but I would love to be on one of the true crime or Court Junkie. I actually like Court Junkie better. Have you listened to that?
No.
So, or Crime Junkie. Have you seen
No.
or listened to Crime Junkie?
No. Okay.
What? Okay, because of my
You're
undergrad.
opening up my world. Yeah.
I'm so infatuated with like crime TV.
Okay.
Like, I guess I do watch reality. I like crime TV stuff that's real.
Yeah.
Docu-series type stuff.
Okay. That doesn't freak you out?
No.
All right.
I
My
should have
wife
been like
can't
a
do that.
forensic analyst or something.
She like can't watch anything that has like any like sudden movement. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like you're a baby. Like it's gonna be okay. Like it's just a show. But
I
so
love
tell
it.
me like tell me more about this. I need to know now.
It's like Johnny Depp's case, right? Like
Okay.
it's court cases,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the true crime one is more like murder.
Okay. So
Crime Junkie.
Do you listen to those often?
Yeah.
Like plug them in the car? Or, okay.
I
Nice.
do.
Okay.
But the Court Junkie one I like better because you're listening, to the woman who's narrating everything, of course, but they pull from actual audio tapes from the hearings.
Okay.
So it's not just, you and I telling the story. It's like, oh, and by the way, they're going to tell this part of the story because
Dang.
you can hear it.
That's super cool.
And then I feel like I was there.
Yeah, I love it. That's cool. I'll have to check it out. So I have, I listen to. Do you ever watch the show? It's reality TV. You probably didn't. Chrisley's knows best.
Okay, yeah, let me retract my statement. I used to watch a lot of reality TV,
Okay.
like in high school,
Got it.
Early college, like Jersey Shore, Chrisley Knows Best.
Yeah.
I did
So,
watch that.
I followed like their whole story. Right, super sad.
It's
everything
sad.
going on. Right. So I listened to Savannah's podcast like religiously, and yeah, I would definitely. That's who I would. I've been like trying to. I don't even know who you reach out to. I'm like, hey, I want to be on a podcast with you.
I think I have a connection for you.
Wasn't their family like a part of the pageants? Like they were like big into that.
I want to say that they owned Florida.
Something.
And I don't know if it was in the Miss USA. I'll research. But
Hook it up.
the Chrisleys are friends with Pam Chaney.
Okay.
And she owns Pam Chaney Aesthetics in Elkhart. It's like down the road from where I'm at.
There we go.
But she injects Todd and Savannah.
Well.
And so they are in Elkhart. Well, they were quite a bit.
Okay.
So
Well,
you should ask Pam Chaney.
yeah. Set it up.
Maybe
How do I get in contact?
you
And-
guys could do a live podcast.
Yeah, she does a podcast every all the time.
Yes.
So
You should look into that.
yeah, I love her mission too. Like right now, she's on a mission. I don't know if you've watched any of her
No.
stuff recently.
No.
Check it out. She has a podcast called Unlocked, and it's all about her parents and like where they're at right now and like
Are
what
they
they're
still in
going
prison?
through. Yeah, like they're in and like it's a crazy story.
Well, I haven't
what they've
followed
gone
it
through.
that closely, like I should, but I didn't follow it closely. But if I understand correctly, they're in prison for evading taxes,
There's a whole So I've dug down the rabbit hole and have like done like a ton of research on it, and they definitely got like there's a lot of misconduct like in their case, like a lot.
So,
Like overwhelming.
like not misconduct on their part. You mean like their
the-
attorneys
like the-
have handled it poorly, or
No, like the government.
oh, the government? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what terrifies me. You and I have talked about, where we stand on things, but that terrifies me about even when I file my taxes, there are what people call loopholes, but I
Yes.
think of them as I have a really good accountant who understands the law and understands taxes and accounting and all the things. So to me, I'm like, if their case is what I think it is, I think that that's what happened, right? Like they said they didn't pay on things that
there's like a whole big, like the biggest thing with them is like, because of how big that they did get as far as like with all their real estate and all their businesses, they were a lot of like hands off. Like they allowed like other people to run their companies.
Oh.
So like the biggest like thing with crimes is intent. Like the word intent has to like be overwhelming and like be able to be proven. And that was yes, crime was committed, and actually somebody admitted to it, and they gave him full immunity. Like they admitted to everything. And that's what's so crazy about their case. So go check it out. Like that's what's crazy. Like
that's what I'm doing for the rest of the day.
Yes. And you will go, I'm telling you, like it is a whole thing. So like
so
they
sad.
literally admitted, and then that person rolled on both of them. And here's what we're talking about. So we're talking about money crimes. Like I could go all the way down, but they, it was a financial crime, and we're talking about several $1 million. And a lot of people like have a lot of like backlash on like, well, they deserve it and they're criminals. Okay, like
They're
come
people.
on, they're people
who trusted other people.
And at the end of the day, they paid all the money back. Like what are we talking? Like they've already done that, and they're still like, now we're using taxpayer dollars. Like that's a whole nother thing.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on that.
like pay for them to be in, and like they didn't get no light sentences. Like Todd is like 13 years or more, I think. And, oh my gosh, what's,
Julie.
I think she's like 7 or more years. And then recently, this is like the updated version. She just got, because again, I've been following it. I went to their podcast, so I do want to be on.
So
I
intrigued.
do know.
Please put him on the podcast.
Yeah, Savannah, we need to talk. I've sent you a couple messages. Check Instagram.
Any viewers that are watching this, you guys need to tag Savannah. Share and tag
Share
Savannah.
and tag, yeah. So recently, she was actually, she appealed her case.
Yep.
Julie did. And she won.
But she's not out?
So the judge had the opportunity to be like, hey, because she's already done that. I think it's like almost like a year and a half or more. Anyways, the judge just like kept the same sentence. Like
That's
literally
trash.
kept the same sentence.
That's why I'm not in law.
Oh, no,
couldn't do it.
Exactly. So it was like, I know it's probably definitely been, and this is like recent. So like, it's definitely probably been a lot I know it's been a lot for Savannah, and like having to like manage that. Cause she, obviously they like admit that they were wrong, and she got to get to the resentencing phase. And so when you have that hope of like, hey, they could do the right thing and like let her out, and they didn't. They like kept the same sentence. Like, oh well, all right,
That's
cool, same sentence.
People who murder people get less time than that.
Insane.
I'm so angry.
Yes. So I want to be on a podcast with her because I have stuff to share with her that I think would be very helpful and beneficial to other people too. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now I've left you in a way to. You're gonna have to check it out.
Free the Grizzlies.
Right. For real.
Goodness.
So, well, I definitely appreciate you coming, being a part of this. I think it's been very good. If you're listening out there, hopefully you got some value out of today. Where can they find you? I think you've said it a couple times, but how can they find you?
Yeah, you can, if you want to follow what I'm doing on Instagram, you can go to Miss INUSA. That's on Instagram. And then if you want to email me, I have missindianausa2024@gmail.com. And you can send me an email. I'm booking appearances. Whatever. I do a lot of things. Speaking engagements, emceeing events. If you just have an event that you want me to show up at, like, hey, like I just did it for a friend's business a couple weeks ago. Just show up and be a presence and interact with your family, your crowd, your team.
Love it.
Just let me know.
Awesome. Well, this has been excellent. Hopefully you got some value out of this, guys. This has been another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast where real conversations happen.